Belted at the moment, but just
Well, it's a term used in basketball, but it can apply to football now. Coast-to-coast goal, Rob, and the old-fashioned torp. You don't see it much these days, but it was a beauty, this one from
Well,
Goldsack.
it was one of the highlights of the game, and Tyson Goldsack let rip with the torpedo. They flipped it over the back, and you can see in the space of 14 seconds, they kicked a goal, and it was fantastic to see. And well, you introduced
No,
it.
you do the honours.
Well, Scott Pendlebury, you've been captain of Collingwood. Welcome to the show. Was that a set play?
Well, I suppose we didn't know when Tyson was going to do it, but I suppose throughout the week we've seen him. He's a massive kick, and I suppose Mick sort of gave him the licence if he wanted to and he felt comfortable to let go. And
Let it rip?
Yeah, let it rip, and it certainly did.
So we'll have a look at it again. He just unloads this massive torpedo straight down the middle of the ground, and you can see Jolly tries to flip it over the back, and you've got your numbers running through. It worked to perfection. When Lee Brown kicked the goal, did you look at each other and have a smile?
Yeah, I went straight up to Goldie and had a bit of a chuckle. He's one of my close mates, and it was very good to see, and I was glad it actually come off, because I think if he had a miss kick that it would have gone.
Well, it's too much of a good thing. Tried it again. No, dead set stiff, getting a goal conceded against them. They the Pies.
Well, he went for it the second time, and this was in the third quarter. The first one was in the first quarter, and it came back towards the goals. Richmond end up kicking a goal. Have a look how unlucky Goldsack is, because the ball lands in front of him and kicks over his head, and he almost gets a fingernail on it. And then he put it away. He didn't try it again after that.
Yeah, he must have got a bit gun-shy, but that was one of the uglier bits of play that I've seen for the day.
I reckon we've got to bring back the torp, Scotty. I think we need more of it. If you were 60 out, would you have a crack at one? Has Mick given you the licence to do that?
Yeah, I definitely would have a crack at one if I was 60 out. I can't kick very far, so I'd probably obviously pass it off, but after the siren, definitely, because obviously you get that extra distance with it.
There's a touch of Pagan's paddock a couple of times on Saturday as well, wasn't there? Just getting it long and forwards running hard.
Well, Scott, I put this down to your team's kicking skills. I think you're one of the better kicking teams in the competition, and we saw it to advantage with your forwards running back with the flight of the footy, and you're prepared to take it even wide as you go forward, but you hit up targets repeatedly.
Yeah, I suppose the beauty of all our forwards is they lead hard out the ball carrier. Makes it very obvious who's open and who's not, and also the guy that does take their mark, they're willing to give the hands off, and that sort of opens up sides pretty quickly.
Scott, you sit on top of the ladder after 17 rounds. Your injury list is fantastic. There's so many good players running around in the VFL. You've played everyone in the competition. Who's the side to beat in 2010?
Geelong.
Yeah.
We played them earlier in the year, and they put 10 minutes of footy together that I don't think we touched the ball maybe 5 or 6 times in 5 minutes, and they kicked 6 goals. And their scoring power is something that I suppose we're not used to from every other side. They can really hurt you quickly because they do play through the corridor.
Do you go and watch other teams play if you've got a Sunday off? Do you say, I want to have a look at Geelong or St Kilda, knowing that they're the teams that you probably have to beat to win the premiership?
No, me personally in the pre-season I get along and watch those sides, but in season, I suppose, sort of just worry about our game and then relax after that.
Scotty, talk us through what Mick Malthouse, from the external, and known him to see him at the press conference, and he's got that sort of grumpy persona about him. You speak to guys inside the Collingwood Football Club that they love him. What's he been like for you?
Yeah, he's been very good. He's a very good mentor and very good teacher of the game as well, and he's always upbeat around the club, and I suppose the beauty about Mick is that he always gets everyone up, and even the guys back in the VFL is a very good communicator to let them know where they're at.
What did you make of the Kevin Sheedy article a week or so ago?
Actually, I didn't read it. Obviously, a few of the boys mentioned it at the club, and I suppose everyone's going to have an opinion, and he's entitled to his, and hopefully we can prove him wrong.
Well, Mick Malthouse was, after the win on Saturday, was asked, perhaps did he use it as a bit of motivation to knock over the Tigers, and this was Mick's response.
Today for Sheeds. What's the question? About what Kevin Sheedy said about the grand final.
Oh, with all due respects, no. Not even thought of. How anyone could even think that a question that could even come like that? It's just bizarre. Anyway, no. I wonder what you're talking about.
That officially is the dumbest question to be asked of a coach this year.
this year, maybe, but
Well, maybe for a decade.
it was a great response. That was just gold.
That was a
wasn't it?
good response, yeah.
Alan Didak shimmy, did he cop it from the boys, or is that sort of stuff encouraged?
No, I think fun and games throughout a footy club is always going to cop a bit of stick, and I suppose it was good to see though, like his emotions on the field come out, and obviously it's a pretty special bit of play, and entitled to celebrate.
Scotty, you've been in the leadership group at Collingwood now for a couple of years, and you go back to 2008. Heathshaw gets suspended, Alan Didak gets suspended for the rest of the season. It was a massive sanction. It appears to me that they've turned their life around. Can you comment a little bit on what the Bulldogs have done with Jason Ackermanis? Can you see any similarity in that, or talk us through just the impact that that's had on the Collingwood players' lives?
I suppose for me, that time with Dids and Heater, I suppose I was very young. I think I was 19 or 20 at the time, and I suppose it was a great learning experience for me to sort of see how they've come through the other side, and both train exceptionally hard now, and both great players and really integral parts of our side. And I suppose you've seen on the weekend the intensity of the Bulldogs, and they really look like they played for each other.
Scott, your own form's been really good, career high with your disposals and your tackles and contested balls, and we've got some good vision of you here down at ground level. I really enjoy watching you play because you always seem to have a lot of time, and to me you read the game well, you've got good awareness of what's around you, you rarely get flustered. Growing up as a kid playing your basketball and your football, was that something that you always felt comfortable out there?
Yeah, I suppose it's a lot from basketball. I suppose you've always told playing basketball that you don't try and predict what's going to happen, just let the game come to you. And I suppose out there I try and do the same thing. I don't want to I suppose get the ball and already have made my decision. I want to sum it up when the ball's in my hands.
Speaking of making your decision, how close were you to thinking about going the other way and playing basketball? You played for Australia, you're offered an AS scholarship in basketball, and Patrick Mills, who's playing in the NBA, you played junior basketball with him, got some shots of you here. Was it a genuine option for you? Did you think about going down this path?
I suppose all my life I grew up and played basketball, and I suppose it was more likely at the time.
When you got nominated for the Rising Star Award and you spent an afternoon with Shane Hill.
Yeah, that was it was a very good day to meet Hammer, and I've met him once or twice before through basketball. And I suppose I was actually probably really close to sticking with basketball and not giving footy a go.
Tough choice, isn't it, when you can represent your country and, if you're really good, big money in the NBA?
Yeah, I suppose at 17 too, you don't really sort of think too far down the track, and at that time I spoke with my parents about it, and I suppose I just wanted to give footy a go, and all my mates back home played, and I'm pretty glad that I made that choice.
You have been to America though, courtesy of the trips to Arizona. Talk us through what that's been like as an experiment, and what sort of influence does that have on your preparation for the season, and when does it pay dividends?
I suppose obviously you get really fit from the work you do up there at altitude, and David Butterfin says that it's probably 8 weeks worth of work we can get into ourselves up there in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's tough, it's grueling, but it's with all the boys, and you get a lot of bonding out of it, and I suppose hopefully it starts kicking in or holding up now.
What's the philosophy of it? It gives you the advantage at the business end of the season, or?
We've got an altitude room at the club, and I suppose we all filter through that throughout the year, and I suppose this helps with it. I suppose shorter workouts throughout the year, less taxing on the body, but more benefit.
How good a player is Dane Son, Scotty? You get to train with him week in and week out. You probably play intra-club practice games on him. Do you rate him up there with the best midfielders in the competition? Yeah,
certainly. He's probably the best player I've ever played with, and I played with Bucks, I suppose, in his later part of his career. But in terms of influence he can have on a game, every week he seems to have it, and I think he is probably up there with sort of the 2 or 3 other guys as best midfielder. Yeah, he's lightning fast. He doesn't look fast.
No, he doesn't, does he? He shuffles.
No, he does. He shuffles. Fastest man in the world without a knee lift, I think. All the boys get into him about. But, he's very strong and always keeps his feet, and he's a fantastic player.
He almost seems untaggable, Pendles, in that he goes off the ground and then just gut runs, and with his strength, the tags just don't seem to be able to have any impact on him at all. Is it something where you've got a lot of, I suppose, benefit out of the rotations that works for him, or is it just that he's so powerful, can run so quick and so strong that they just can't get near him? I
think he uses the rotations definitely to his advantage. I suppose all taggers are used to sitting on guys and wearing them down, and Dane doesn't really give him that opportunity. He's out there for 7 to 10 minutes, runs hard, comes off for 2 or 3 and then goes again, and he's a real burst player.
He's in rare form, Rob. He's got, look at the last 7 weeks.
Great vision that we saw of him there. It just shows how strong and balanced he is, runs low to the ground, but they're amazing figures, aren't they? Over the last 6 or 7 weeks, he's been able to get that sort of those sort of numbers. Even in your short time, Scott, playing AFL football, how's it changed?
It's turning to a lot like basketball. When I first started, there was no zones or anything like that, and then obviously Hawthorn brought it in, and St Kilda took it to another level last year. So I suppose a lot of the terminology is sort of shifting towards basketball terms.